Here we are for the JV West, Season 3, Round 8, finale, and the Brazilian J-Prix. Here's the grid for the qualifying and reverse Drivers' Championship order. Small's Stefole Pro Line will be starting closer to the front, and at the back are two contenders for the title, the RBR's 18th and 20th, the FFX's 14th and 19th. So it'll be very interesting to see how every driver gets on in the quali session. Let's take a look at the car stats, because we had some upgrades. We've had an acceleration and double turbo from Gotor Motorsport, bringing them up to respectable joint 4th best car. Flying Fox succeeded their long shot for speed, but Russell British Racing responded with a successful grip upgrade and double turbo, bringing them still just a 0.1 improvement over the Flying Fox car in the Car Performance Index. INR succeeded the grip, but they're still by far the worst team on the grid in terms of car performance. The Monkey Racing succeeded an acceleration, Electric Racing a speed, Matzer Motorsport an acceleration, and Burgery Kloski Racing succeeded a triple turbo upgrade, bringing them round up to 4. So here we are, and there's only a gap between the second worst car and the best car of about 1.1. That is, of course, not counting the worst car of INR. Every other car appears to be quite strong, quite even. So I think we're going to be up to see some surprises, just like we did last time with similarly reversed grid. Of course, tokens spent. Nobody is spending any tokens. It's the tokenless finale at Brazil, at Interlagos, the Brazilian J-Prix. So let's get right into the qualifying. Here we go, and focus, of course, has to be on the carbs behind, and Kader appears to have had a slow start. Kraf as well. So has Masca, and Shiloh and Juan are, I think they're improving. Got past Kraft, they're looking past Botti, past Masca. Both of them not looking good for Kader to be back there. Not looking good for Shiloh at the moment, as Juan gets extra burst of speed, and it's Mr. Crunk on provisional pole at the moment, and his lap completely beats any other. That is quite something. Kader with the slowest lap. We've got, where are they? Shiloh 15th, Masca 16th, Juan in 9th. Juan has had a good one, but Shiloh's now looking to get past him here, as they have this fight, this ghost race fight. Shiloh's past him, but with the more worn tires, will it be an improvement? Is Keemer 15 in the worst car? Tokenless goes onto pole position. Shiloh does not improve, that is right. Juan down to 13th, Shiloh down to 17th, Masca 18th, Kader 20th. The two-time race winner looks to be struggling. It's in fact the Flying Foxes, and RBRs are currently performing the worst out of any team in this qualifying. That is quite interesting, because they clearly have the best cars. They have some sort of tangible advantage. Everyone's pitting now. Maybe they can find that extra speed. I think Shiloh's got some pace in him. He did get past both the Flying Foxes. Just needs a fast lap to prove, as everyone smashes into the wall and pit exit. Currently only 2 sub-36 laps, and it's from Gamer15 and Mr. Crunk, and it's Tifoli in 3rd, and it's Cloud and Smalls. But you can also see there that it's not necessarily the reverse Drivers' Championship grid that has affected the drivers. We've got Razim up in 6th in qualifying right now, so anyone can take it here. It all depends on the performance. Gamer only petting now. See here, Shiloh does improve, but it's not enough to improve any possessions. Question is, will he be able to improve more on this lap? He doesn't have much turbo to go, and the Russell British Racing car does have a turbo package, and it looks like Masca is catching him with that extra speed, that better powertrain. Shiloh is gaining on him in the corners because the RBR has the better grip. Looks like Juan might have been the one who got lucky with the fastest lap at the very start, but he's dropped down to 15th. Masca up into 16th. So it's 8th row for them, and meanwhile for Shiloh and Kader, it's 18th and 20th, and it's actually Razim up at the front row now, and Prolime is on provisional pole. What are we seeing here? The avionics completely dominating at this track, and this is pretty much for certain now. Prolime gets pole position. Doesn't look like we'll see any more surprises here in the final lap, I don't think. Tifole, Mr. Crunk, Boken, not the best quality positions. Still good, but not the best. But they are looking at the best in terms of pure consistency here. And as for both FFXs and both RBRs being outside of the points at the given moment, that will bode nicely for RBR, who of course are the ones in the lead. And yes, it's Prolime on provisional pole. Have a rundown of the results in a second. Yes, 13-point gap between Flying Fox and Russell British Racing, and Flying Fox are the ones who need to get that sorted out. And yeah, let's take a look at the qualifying results. So there it is, Prolime on pole. Razim lines up on the front row, Gamer 15th and 3rd, and alongside him in the second row is Mr. Crunk 5th, starts Tifole, then it's Boken 34, then we have Cloud, then it's Smalls starting from 8th, Hyper Mustang from 9th, and Charge JT will be starting from 10th. In the bottom 10, Ellie starts from 11th, then Botty from 12th, then we have Kraft, Emma Box, two Flying Foxes lock out the 8th row, then we have G4 and Shiloh, and finally in the final row, we have Edvarditos and Kader. So that's your grid for the Interlagos finale, and let's get right into the race. Here we go for all the marbles. It's the Brazilian J-Prix. Here we go, 5 lights, and away we go. It's Prolime starting on soft. Razim and Gamer have chosen hards behind. More importantly, what about the pack behind them? We're already looking cloudy weather. Kader and Advertitos with some slow starts. Shiloh is behind the Emma box there and looking to make his way on Juan, and it's a bit of commotion here, but he looks to have nearly gotten past him there, but he's got superior speed out of the corner. And right now in the lead, it's still Prolime leading the first lap. Mr. Crunk has gotten up into second as he started on the softs, Razim down into third on the hards. Still quite impressive, but more importantly, I think it was Gamer starting from third, and he's already down to 7th, down to 8th with his start on the hards. Seems that INR really cannot cope there. And it's Mask. Oh, and we're going to have a light rain. Mask of Bravus up into 12th at the current moment. He started on the softs. Juan, Shiloh, and Kader all started on the hards, and they might regret it. Juan has still had a pretty decent start. He's in 14th at the current moment, but they still need a lot of possessions if they want to get stuff done here. And it's a huge... Oh, and it's going to be heavy rain. Only 2 drivers out on the inters. It's Hyper and Tifole, and they are quite gonna have an issue with that. Mask of Bravas is up into 11th now, looking for a way past Gamer, and he's got a single point. The lead of RBR is currently at 12 points, and I'm sorry for focusing so much on the constructors. It's Prolime and Mr. Crunk running 1 and 2. Mr. Crunk looking for a move around the outside on the final straight here. Regime holding down podium. Mr. Crunk, some bad traction, but Prolime can't find a way past them on the road, and it's Mr. Crunk into the lead of the race. Wow. That is quite something happening here today. Prolime in second, Regime is in third, then we have Tifole, it's Hyper, Botti, Charge GT, and Boken. Maska is up into ninth. That lowers the gap to 11 points. Doesn't look like the rest of the drivers are gonna have an easy time of getting into the points. One is in 13th, but they have quite a way away from the top 10. Shiloh has looked to have lost some pace in the rain, which is very, very troubling for RBR, but they are the only team to have won twice, thanks to Cadder, currently running 18th and 19th, and it seems they don't have quite the performance gap to catch up there and challenge for the points, but their early lead in the constructors might be enough. Shiloh getting a bit forced wide there by his teammate, struggling in the rain clearly, and Maska is up into 8th now. That's 4 points. The gap between the two teams is now only 9 points between them. Prolime's back into the lead of the race. We're 6 laps out of 26 running. And not much to say about this, but Tifole and Hyper Mustang have quite managed so far on the inters, as Tifole gets pushed out wide there, falling back down to 5th, and then we have Hyper Mustang Maska Bravas looking to catch Boken on the speedy Flying Fox powertrain. He is Flying Fox's only hope now. Juan down in 14th, Kader in 18th, Shiloh still running last. Prolime fighting Mr. Crunk for that race victory. I don't think, neither of them has had one yet this season. Behind them is Regime, who won in the United States Grand Prix after an unlucky incident that Shiloh had with some blue flags. And he's running in third today, and there's Botti behind him. Seems to have swapped with Cloud, who's dropped to 12th. Maska Brave is back down to 9th as Charge JT gets ahead of him. That's 11 points of gap to RBR. Juan is lost, he's down into 16th. Kader is 3 seconds away from 17th, which is Kraft, the race winner at the Scottish J-Prix. And sun is coming soon. It's good news for the drivers to get off of those wet tires. They're not into the pits yet over here. Maska is down into 10th. The gap is back up to 12 points. LA Cloud not in. Gamer is in. That's a good decision. Kraft won. Cadras stays out. Edratitos stays out. Shiloh is in. That is quite interesting. Only Gamer, Kraft 1, and Shiloh have opted to pit, and of those drivers, Shiloh and Kraft have put on softs. Gamer and Juan have put on hards, and we'll see what that might do to their respective packs. Maska's back into 9th. That, of course, changes the gap back to 11 points. That separate Flying Fox from that Constructors title. Well, not 11, 12, since they would lose on tiebreak. They've got one less victory. So yeah, 12 points in 9th. Then it would be 10 points in 8th. 8 points in 7th. 6 points in 6th. 4 points in 5th. Yeah, I think he needs to finish in the top 4 for this to work out. Needs 14 points total. So now he needs to finish in the podium, Mask of Bravas, and he's currently running in 9th. And Shiloh's back in front of Kader and Vertitos thanks to his early pit. He's up into 18th and quite close with the pack. Prolime's now escaped Mr. Crunk. Yeah, he's quite close with this pack and he's caught G4, so he's into 17th and he's just behind Emma Box and Juan, thanks to his use of softs. But will this pay off in the long term? Kraft also used the softs and look how much he's benefited from that early pit onto the softs. Shallow's moving up, but question is it even enough to get into the points position? That can certainly gain them some positions, but that many positions that we'll have to wait and see. He's looking to close down the gap with Emma Box. Mr. Crunk is catching Prolime on the final straight, looking at the inside, sets the fastest lap, that lap as well, and he's through into the lead of the race against Prolime. We've got Razim holding down third, and spoken to Foley, Botti, Charge JT, Hyper, and Masca in a pack. JT looks to separate himself from this pack as Masca goes over into 8th place. Ellie, Gamer, Cloud, Kraft with one right behind them, and it looks like Shiloh has lost considerable amount of time. He was closing down on Emma Box, but he might have made a mistake or gone into an incident, and now he's back behind G4 again, looking down the inside, gets in on the inside, now for the hairpins, Cat Shrug G4 off, and G4 is down the inside back at him. Kraft has lost some speed. It looks like the softs are just wearing out right now. Shiloh's stuck behind him. He's got tons of boost saved up. Deploys the boost at the wrong time. Oh damn. The boost of RBR is not strong enough to get closer to Kraft. That is quite interesting. Prolime's back into the lead of the race off of Mr. Crunk. And Razim has caught up to them now as well. Looking for a move of his own, but they separate thanks to that hairpin. Razim hits a bit of grass on the exit. Prolime is just running away, but he's stuck behind blue flag of Edward Tito's Masca down into 9th. There's no hopes here for Flying Fox. I don't think he's been stuck in those small points positions there. Shiloh and Kraft into the pits, and they're fighting with the lead pack as Prolime just gets more time to run away, and it's Razim chasing him down in second, and Mr. Crunk is struggling out there with Shiloh, with Edward Titos to take care of, and there's also Kader in 18th, Shiloh 17th, sorry. Shiloh behind him, and it's Prolime in the lead of the race, and Mr. Crunk has lost 2 seconds to the top 2, and that is going to be very, very disastrous for him if he can't make that distance back up, as the mediums are starting to really wear now. Kraft and Shiloh on the softs on the free pit stops, and actually quite close to G4, even to Juan, who still haven't pitted, so that should be interesting. Who will go on top there? Prolime's run away from Razim as well. The top 3, the podium setters, all pit at the same time, and it's mediums for Prolime, hards for Razim, softs for Mr. Crunk, and just a few seconds separates all of them. They've all gone from completely different strategies, and this will be quite something to watch here as a result. Let's see, Razim is out into the lead of the race on the hards, which is quite interesting. Currently the hardest tire while all the tires are fresh and it's the hardest tire that is succeeding right now. But here comes Mr. Crunk past Prolime, and if anything, it looks like Prolime has made the wrong choice by going onto mediums. Mr. Crunk quickly catching Razim now, but goes wide on that first turn, and Prolime's right back down on the inside, and if they battled, they could lose Razim here. But they don't, they calm down Mr. Crunk. It gets let through, but Prolime is right back, side by side with him. Mr. Crunk is not letting him overtake, but he has to give him the position now as Prolime gets an easy inside, and it's looking really bad for Mr. Crunk, who despite being on the fastest tires, cannot seem to get through into that lead of the race, while Prolime looks to have gained some time. Now he's fighting Razim for the lead. It's Mr. Crunk behind here and Prolime on the outside. Massive speed through that straight. Now he's back to lapping Shiloh. Laps Kraft, and those hairpins really closing down the podium setters. Prolime still holding on to first. Razim knocks into the back of G4, who went into the grass. Mr. Crunk needs to catch these two quickly and surpass them, otherwise there's no hope for his strategy to work out. He's into the pits for another set of softs, and how long was that? How many laps was that? I don't think that was many laps at all, and he's in fact off the podium as Boken gets through into third as a result of this extra pit. Prolime currently leading, Razim close behind, and he'll start to get that advantage now. Mask of Brave is in 8th. It's not enough for Flying Fox, and at the end of this race, it looks like Russell British Racing will go victorious, and they'll get into Challenger Virtual for the first time in their history, despite currently running in 17th and 19th. This is racing heritage. Right now, Prolime still leading Razim away. That is some good stuff here. Question is, who would take the drivers? And Kraft in 4th, he's got 54 points, he's out of the points, so is Shiloh, so is Juan, and Kader Razim is currently in 2nd, 18 points, that would get him 68. Looks like Razim might take the Drivers' Championship if he stays in 2nd, even if he finishes 3rd. Finishes further above and he takes it. That is incredible. What a race this has been so far. And we're back to heavy rain as well. And Razim and Prolime have been stuck out on dry tires. Worn out dry tires. So has Juan. But not Masker Bravus, it looks like. Razim and Prolime into the pits now. Will we see massive time gain for Boken and for Mr. Crunk, who has failed to get past him? This has worked terribly for Mr. Crunk, as he's had that extra pit as well. But they are not far behind, and Prolime looks to have taken a tumble. It's Razim into the lead of the race, looking to just completely solidify his Drivers' Championship with a 2nd victory, tying Kader's 2 race wins this season. There's still Prolime just less than 2 seconds behind, and in Boken, what's happened to Mr. Crunk? Charge GT is now in front of him, and if Charge GT finishes 4th, that's the highest finish for the Monkey Racing this season. What is happening in this race? It's Razim out in the lead for now. Oh my. Yeah, with the 4 drivers ahead of Razim in the Drivers' Championship, all looking to not gain any points at all in this race, it will be Razim with either 25 or 18 points who will rise up to first in the World Drivers' Championship. Russell British Racing versus Flying Fox. Masca gets them 4 points. That's not enough. There's still a 9-point gap between RBR and Flying Fox, and Razim is holding down Prolime here. And we've also just got to say that this would be the best finish for both Avionics and the Monkey, who are 10th and 9th in the Constructors, and now they're finishing 2nd and 4th. And the Monkey Racing would be the only team who's unfortunately not managed to find themselves on the podium. But 4th is as close as it can get. But Prolime's back into the lead of the race, and it's over! He wins it here, lap 26. Prolime just suddenly gets that quick pace, the very end, and wins, triumphs over Razim, but Razim is the World Drivers' Champion. Boken 34 on the podium for Berger Kolosky. 4th for the Monkey Racing driver Charge GT, Mr. Crunk. And 5th, you might be a bit disappointed he was fighting for the race win, but 5th is still a great result for him. Toffoli in 6th, it's incredible performance for Avionics. 7th finishes Botti, then Masca Bravas in 8th. Hyper Mustang in 9th, Smalls is in 10th, Ellie in 11th, Gamer in 12th, Emma Box will cross the line in 13th, then Kraft in 14th, then Juan in 15th, then Cloud in 16th, then G4 in 17th, Shiloh and Kader cross 18th and 19th, and they are promoted to Challenger Virtual, and Edward Ito's in last. Shiloh and Kader, that is quite something from them. If I can pull up the stat here, they've not scored a single point. They've not scored a single point since Mexico. They've only scored points in the first 3 rounds. It was a risky strategy from Skip, but they got a 1-2 in Mosport, got a 2-4 in the US Grand Prix, J-Prix, and they got another 1-2 in Mexico, and Skip just completely blew out the rest of the competition out of the water. Only 3 races they scored points, and they triumph here with 118 points with 2 race victories. It's Russell British Racing into Challenger Virtual, and of course Razim, even in 2nd, is the JV West Drivers' Champion here, outscoring Kader by 5 points. And just, wow, incredible stuff. And Razim and Kader and Shiloh and RBR have taught, if they've taught us anything, it's that spending all your tokens looks to work much stronger than just spending 1 or 2 a race. I wonder if we're going to see a new meta completely build up from this performance, from these performances over the season. Congratulations to Razim, congratulations to RBR, congratulations to Flying Fox, who finished in 2nd, who gave everything they got in the end, but they could not make the straight trip right back to Challenger Virtual after getting relegated. However, they're looking strong to attempt again next season. And congratulations to all the teams, all the drivers. Hope you enjoyed Journeyman Virtual West Season 3. And that'll be all from me. I'll see you later.